just decided to open uh, Amazon.com. And you all know Amazon is a site on the internet that sells thousands of books. Um, and one of the advantages of this site is that you can look up books by topic. So uh, someone did just that. They searched for certain topics and were intrigued by what they found. For example, they sought how many books were on Amazon that dealt with heaven. And they found that heaven, there were 2,652 titles on heaven. How about money? How many titles? Money, there were 10,304. How about sex? How many titles? 16,765. What about God? There were 18,000 titles uh, falling under the topic, having God as the topic. But there were 30,066 copies for love. And one preacher once said he looked up the definition of love in his encyclopedia, and he found that there was not one single article on love. It only referred him to emotions and sex. So he looked up the word emotion in his encyclopedia, and in the entire 3-page article, love was only mentioned in one sentence. And then he looked up the word sex, and under the subject of sex, he found 12 different articles. And in those 12 different articles, he found the word love in only one paragraph. Now, after having done his research, he thought to himself, this is so true. Americans, even Kenyans, know a whole lot more about sex than they do about love. The so-called love songs on the radio are not love songs. They are lust songs. That's very interesting. And I hope as my master students, you are getting to where I am going. Um, so I don't know if that's absolutely true, but I do know that a lot of people are confused about what love is really all about. Even back in the church at Corinth, the Corinthians, there were people who are confused about it. And the Corinthians congregation was filled with people who had become Christians because they had responded to the idea that God actually loved them and sent his begotten son. So that's why the Corinthians uh, became Christians. They became Christians because God actually loved them and sent his only begotten son. And the Apostle John wrote this. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. 1 John 4:10. So these Christians at Corinth knew that love was because God had loved them first. But after they had been Christians for a while, they had forgotten what love was all about. And so Paul dedicated an entire section of a letter to them to describe what love meant to God. And that is my message to you today. in 1 Corinthians 13. This chapter is so poetic and eloquent and precise that it's one of the best known sections of the Bible. And it's because it's become so popular that it's often used in wedding ceremonies. And one of the reasons so many people love this chapter is because it does such a powerful job of answering the question, what is love? What is love? Uh, Seemingly, everyone who's ever read these words, and I'm sure many of you have read it, agrees and says, yes, that's what love is. And one person even went so far as to say in 1 Corinthians 13 is a portrait for which Christ himself sat. So what is love in these Corinthians? 1 Corinthians 13. Paul tells us that love is patient and love is kind. I really would like us to reflect on this, that love is patient and love is kind, and it rejoices with the truth. It rejoices with the truth. That is what love is. And it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Uh, what a powerful definition of love. Love is patient and love is kind. Love is not emotion. Love is not sex. Love is not, you don't love God because he loves us and gave us and sacrificed his son for our sins. Love rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. So even with the deformations that came through about our university, I, I, I turned to God and asked God, God, give me your love so that I may be patient, so that I may be kind. I don't want at any one time to think any differently from what I've thought about my Muslim students. I don't want. Because I rejoice in the truth that I cannot deny a student their marks because they are Muslims or because they did not attend chapel. I rejoice in the truth knowing that we do devotion, we go to chapel, we are not perfect, we are sinners, but surely the Bible tells us the natural sexual path. And so we cannot be the university that is Christ-centered and encourages LBQ, whatever it is. But you know, as a university, we can engage in ideas. We can talk about alcohol. We can talk about drugs. We can talk about lesbianism and homosexuality. We can talk about transsexual inclinations as we reference it to what the Bible wants out of us. Now, 1 Corinthians 13 tells us love a great deal more than, sorry. Now, 1 Corinthians 13 tells us love a great deal more than about love. But these phrases I just quoted focus on what love is. What is love? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love rejoices with the truth. Love protects, trusts, hopes, and perseveres. So I think, and I'll want to come back to this later on as part of my Bible study in the morning and evening. So I'll not go through this because it's a long document. It's about 8 pages. But so let's begin with the first phrase. Love is patient and love is kind. What I found interesting was the order of these two words. Paul could have said love is kind and patient, but that's not the way the Spirit led him to write it down. Love is first patient, then it's kind. That's very interesting. Why didn't Paul, in his writing the letters, tell us, start by saying love is kind and then love is patient? That sounds very logical. But he says love is patient and love is kind. Patience comes first. The King James Version doesn't use the word patient here. Instead, it uses the phrase suffers long. So love suffers long. If you love Christ, you are on a path of long suffering, and so patience matters. The Greek word in this passage is actually a compound word made up of two different terms that literally translated says long and wrath, anger. So you are suffering. Now, if I didn't know any better, I might think that a person who loved the way they should would be a person who would be angry for a long period of time. That's not it. That's not what it means. The Greek word is intended to imply that it takes a lot to make this person angry. You are patient. You can withstand anger for a long time. You have to drag them a long way down the road before they get mad. They suffer a lot before they snap. Colleagues, if you love someone, there's going to be a time or two when they are going to make you upset. And we know that is true. Now, don't go looking at the person next to you, but you know it's true. In fact, it's often the people you care about who can make you upset the most. They know where your hot buttons are. But when people annoy us, like this MP and what's going on, what went on this week, when they irritate us enough, we are tempted to get more than just a little upset. On occasion, our temptation will be to get really mad at them. But God says the mark of true love is to not let that happen. The mark of true love is to be patient when this person might irritate you. The mark of true love is long suffering. So I've had so many petitions. I've had even company members telling me your reply to the ministry, to parliament was very weak. You should have told them who we are Christians, we are this. In my heart of hearts, I said, how I wish they would read 1 Corinthians 13. And it helps, particularly when you know the truth. So, as Peter wrote, love covers over a multitude of sins. 1 Peter 4:8. Or another way of putting it is love covers a multitude of irritations. What happened about, and I really don't want to be angry, some cantankerous creature who is not worth even to stand in front of me would spew out lies about Muslim students being denied to graduate. May God forgive them. Love covers a multitude of annoyances. Love overlooks many things that would otherwise make us behave badly. And that's what you expect from Christians, because that's what you expect from God. So my prayer to all of you, and I would really urge all of us to exercise patience and kindness, to uphold the truth all the time, and protect, trust, hope, and persevere, you'll come out victorious. That is my ardent wish to all of us. And I would like to request Chris Wekesa to pray for us. Thank you. If he's online. If he's not, Maureen Gunjiri, are you there? Give us a short prayer, please.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Let's believe and pray. Lord, we come before thy presence this evening. We thank you for your love, for your grace and mercies. We even thank you for that week that we have had, oh my Father. We have seen your grace and your mercies, oh my Father. Sometimes it may have been tough, oh God, but by your graces we have come here, oh God. We ask you, Lord, that you're going to be with us through this class. May you give us concentration and understanding. And even as we have heard from today's sermon, oh my Father, help us to exercise love in everything that we do, oh my Father. May you give us patience. May you give us kindness, that in everything that we do and wherever we go, oh Lord, those two attributes may be portrayed in our lives. Be with us and bless us. And we pray this, believing and trusting in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen, for that prayer.
Amen.
Yeah, I would like us to be very careful with the materials. I was asking Dr. Mwaka whether I'm sending the materials as I'm supposed to send, like particularly the notes in research methods, because there will be your reference notes when you are working on your chapter. But let me not talk about research today. I'll come back to it tomorrow. We have a class, God willing. But today I want us to look at leadership. And I told you my approach to leadership would be very different, and it will be experiential. We will do the principles of leadership, but indirectly, but we would want to see leadership in action. Leadership in action. So before I do I have two presentations today. I would like us to go to the class text, page 8. Page 8. Class text, page 8. Class text, page 8.
My book is page 14.
Page 8.
Page 16.
And Cindy Emma, are you there? Are you online? Cindy?
Yes, Prof.
Yes. Can you start us off on demanding the most always as a leader, as a principle of leadership?
Okay. Demanding the most always. My initial experience in leadership taught me that demanding would always be a significant part of my leadership role. When I did not realize was that the higher the level.
No.
What I did not realize was that the higher the level I led from, the bigger my ask would get. School leadership is about asking. After crafting an attractive vision and mission, the school leader asks people to help make the vision and mission become a reality. A principal describes the pressing problems that are jeopardizing mission achievement and then asks staff to think and come up with innovative ideas on how to solve them. In school leadership, principal asks the school community for the ultimate best. They ask staff and students to believe in their institution. They ask staff members parents or guardians, and the external community to show up and give their time, money and energy, and above all, their hearts, all because they believe so much in the cause they are pursuing.
Pause, stop. Asking is a very critical aspect of leadership. And as you aspire to get into leadership, whether it is in a school, a bank, a hospital, in the military, wherever, you'll ask. And the last sentence we have just read, Cindy, is that they ask staff members, parents, or guardians, and the external community to show up and give their time, money, and energy, and above all, their hearts. Highlight hearts. We call this leading with your life. Leading with your life. And one of the challenges you'll have in leadership as a leader is to win the hearts of people. We have had that phrase all the time. How do you win the hearts of people? You win the hearts of people when you lead with your life. And somebody should capture somewhere there, lead with your life. So when people see you and they're looking for a certain aspect of leadership, they see it in your life. For example, timeliness or punctuality, kindness, sacrifice, wisdom. So the common approach today with great leaders who have succeeded is they lead with their lives. Charles Manyara, if you are online, pick it up from there. I don't know why we are online and we don't respond. That's very interesting. Charles Manyara, is Eugene online?
Prof, I'm sorry. I'm actually standing somewhere because I was on a journey. So I'll
Okay.
have to be here until I be able to conclude the class,
Okay,
but I may not contribute. I'm
no,
sorry
it's
about
okay.
that.
It's okay. Evans Lusasi, are you there?
Hello, Prof. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. Can you carry on from there?
Okay. I still don't have a copy, but let me try read from
Don't
what
have a
I've been.
copy? No, if you don't have, let's get somebody with a copy.
Okay. Okay.
Faith Nzuki, you have a copy?
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. Go on.
My initial experience in leadership taught me that asking would always be a significant part of my leadership role. What I did not realize was that the longer I led, the higher my demands would get. I had no choice when Sunshine School began to excel nationally. God was laying a big vision in my mind and heart. The only way it was going to be translated into reality was if some big asks were made of my students, staff, and teachers. Indeed, the biggest challenge I have ever faced involved wanting Sunshine School to be among the top 10 schools in the country on its first attempt at the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, KCSE, examinations. As far as I knew, it would require the greatest sacrifice ever attempted
accepted by a certain school. The stakes were high considering that this was a presidential school. I frequently had to remind myself that I had to be courageous enough in asking my staff and students to join me in this noble, God-glorifying endeavor of wanting to be among the best performing schools in Kenya. And
Okay,
then currently, okay.
pause. Yes. Sorry, finish. I'm sorry. Yes. And
Okay. And courageously as I did, publicly, privately, and prayerfully. In
yes.
the end, okay.
No, just pause there. Now, leadership is about asking. But I want to emphasize here, you must lead with your life. You must lead with your life. If you're going to win the hearts of the people you are making the big ask towards. Continue, Faith.
Okay. In the end, God worked mightily, resulting in the school being at position 6 nationally on its first attempt in the 1998 KCSE examination. It was a record for any pioneering school in Kenya, but it also provided an interesting point of reflection from a management point of view. People are actually quite thrilled to be asked to do significant things for humanity and God at Sunshine School. Granted, they do not always say yes. They cannot always say yes, but they conscientiously
Conscientiously.
committed themselves to this ideal of us remaining in the top 10 nationally.
Okay,
I saw this.
Stop there. Festus, the Paraco, are you online? And do you have a book?
I'm online, Prof, but I can't access my.
Oh, you are too. Okay. Florence said she was somewhere else. Francis Ochami, are you online? Do you have a book?
Hello, Prof. Yes, I'm online. However, I'm on this Discord.
Okay. Franco Ochana,
Yes, Professor, I'm online.
you have a book?
Yes, I do have.
Okay, please go. Let's go.
I saw this more clearly once I found myself on the receiving end of a few big asks. I had been leading Sunshine School for 5 years when other schools started asking for my time. My home county, Kakamega, started asking me to serve on the county education board. And charities started asking me for financial gifts to help their schools. Interestingly, each time I received one of these big asks, I will realize that I was not offended in the least. In fact, I felt quite honored. When someone asked me to help advance their cause, I would think, wow, they must think I am expertly oriented enough to care about something like this. What is more, they must think I have a contribution to make in achieving their goal. I got an average of 5 invites every week from schools across the country to give performance improvement talks. What an accolade.
What?
What an accolade.
Yes, continue.
I am an advocate of school principals being clear in their minds about both the necessity of big demands and how to make them wisely. When demands are made well, they can actually build relationships and there is rarely a downslide.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We can pause there. And these are principles of leadership, and I'm going to tie them up in 2 presentations. So I'm developing the context for those presentations. Jenny, Amisi, are you online?
Yes, I am, Professor.
And you have the book?
Yes, I do. I do have it.
Okay, let's go.
In demanding the best from your staff, it is important to have the following. First, develop the context. Often in my moments of reflection with my teachers, I will say, God has led me to challenge you with something today. But please know from the onset that we all have to accept this challenge for our school to perform better. My goal here is to be obedient to God's calling and follow my inner instinct, not to force you to do something. I have zero achievement to the course of action.
Just a minute. You have
Yeah.
zero?
I have zero attachment to the course of action you choose at the end of our discussion today. Should I go on?
Yeah, just go on. Yes, yes.
Okay. It won't affect our friendship or my respect for you because this is not about you and me. It is about you, our school, and God. Please follow your conscience freely. Are we on the same page?
Carry on.
Second, when I make the ask, I do it as clearly and succinctly as possible. On many occasions, I have sat in a heads of departments, HODs meeting and said, today is the day I'm going to ask you to submit to our mission and goals. You may not be ready, and that will be fine. But I want to briefly review how we can enhance our performance and the needed indicators moving forward.
Thank you very much. Wonderful reading, Missy. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Is Leah on the line? Leah Ongaya.
Yes, Prof. I'm
You have,
online.
you have the book?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Again, when the making of the... Oh, sorry.
No.
After making the ask, sorry. Let me switch on my lights. Thank you.
Okay.
After making the ask, I will usually suggest that the other person takes time for reflection and then get back to me within an agreed upon time. Could we meet again in a week or two to assess your progress? I might ask. Sometimes the subsequent meeting yields a no, but just as frequently, I have had people come back to me with a plea to be counted in. Again, when the making of the ask is handled in a spiritual and relationally intelligent manner, there is very seldom a negative consequence. Any outcome is fine. The nature of human beings. I go on?
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Okay. The nature of human beings is such that we tend not to drift into better behavior. We usually have to be asked by someone to consider taking it up to another level. This is because chaos is the preferred default mode for us human beings.
Yes, and stop there. This is a master's class. I hope you see where I am going about leadership. Leadership, you will demand the most, and so you'll make the big asks. But these asks must be handled in a spiritually and relationally intelligent manner. So it is not through memos on the notice board. It is not by instructing. No. And either way, as a leader, you must allow for different opinions. And that's where you come in as a leader, to be able to convince the other person that, yes, I did not agree with the principal, I did not agree with the CFO or the human resource manager in this company, but I had my day in court. This is what I'm trying to say. We ask, but how do you make that big ask? And that is why getting into the people's hearts is very important. And you cannot get into the people's hearts if you are not leading with your life. I keep emphasizing that. Leading with your life. Othello, do you have a book? Are you online?
Yes, Prof. I'm online.
Yes.
I have a book.
Yeah. Let's go.
Right. In my own life, I've rarely made a sizable step forward, spiritually, physically, emotionally, or otherwise, unless someone asked me to do so. Along the way, I've radically altered my eating and exercise habits because exceptional leaders have asked or demonstrated to me to consider becoming a healthier person. I have channeled resources towards what it causes, because courageous leaders have asked me to help them achieve a preparing vision. I have parented more intentionally, supported my wife with greater devotion, practiced spiritual discipline more faithfully, and upped the ante on my own leadership development, to name but a few actions, all because steadfast leaders asked me to do so.
I want to pause. You must have a teachable spirit in life. You must have a teachable spirit. And don't ever go to a function or a workshop or even a staff meeting and you're busy on your phone. Something important will bypass you. You know, God can use one of your most hated messengers to pass a life-transforming message, but only if you are willing to listen and to try it. I'm asking leaders, as you aspire to be leaders, to have a teachable spirit. Carry on.
And each time I will think, maybe I really can take it up a notch. I had just never thought much about it until now. During the coronavirus disease COVID-19 constrained period, I upped my exercising and reduced my weight from 107.7 kg to 92.0 kg in 120 days. I shed off the 15.7 kg because a colleague demonstrated to me that it can be done. He had lost 20 kg in 90 days. If you are chasing a bold vision, one of the greatest gifts you can give the people around you is to get in front of them, eyeball to eyeball, and ask them to step up and do something great for themselves and God. Do it well, and you will bring glory to God, esteem to the staff, and the much needed improvement in your situation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good reading. I don't know whether we have Paul Amata to take it up, whether he has a book and is online.
Yes, Prof. I'm online and I do have a book.
Okay.
Okay. Courage inspires leaders to find their voice. As leaders show courage in crisis, they often find their voices. During World War II, when England stood alone against Nazi Germany, Winston Churchill found his voice. In 1940, while addressing Parliament, he told his fellow countrymen and women, We shall never surrender. Martin Luther King Jr. found his voice during the civil rights struggle of the 1960s. His words still resound today. Our lives began to end the
No,
day we remain
no,
silent about
no,
things.
no. Go back. Our lives.
I quote, our lives begin to end the day we remain silent about things that matter. Every leader who possesses moral authority has had to stand alone at some point in time. Such moments define leaders. Such stands are often very difficult, but when leaders look back afterwards, they often see those as their proudest moments.
Yes. So, demanding the most as leaders, and even at family level, by the way, even at family level, you must demand the most. For example, let me tell you, if at family level you choose and say, all my children must be graduates, that is a very high demand. That's a very big ask. But then you must find a way of getting everybody realize that it is important for me to get an education up to a certain level. I'm just giving at family level. A lot of schools in the Republic of Kenya are not doing well. A lot of hospitals are collapsing. A lot of banks are not being where they're supposed to be because leaders are not demanding the most always in a spiritual and intellectually tactful way, which touches the hearts of your followers. And courage inspires leaders to find their voice. So, like this pioneering school, I had the courage to say, we shall be in the top 10 on first attempt. So it encourages you to have a voice. And then you must lead with your life. So at 5 a.m., I was in the chemistry lab as the principal of the school. On weekends, we would give exams in the morning between 5 and 7, and in the evening, we are giving back the papers. I'm saying you must lead with your life. I want to pause there for 10 minutes to have some reactions to that first reading on always demanding the most. Any comments, not necessary questions, of course, but any comments on leadership? And now, after this, we are going to look at constructs that then enable you to lead with your life and touch the hearts of your constituency. Any comment, or if you think this is too utopian, this cannot happen, yeah, let us hear you.
Good evening, Prof.
Good evening, Obadiah. Obadiah, where are you found on this earth?
Right now, I stay in Kawangware.
Okay, you're in Nairobi.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Then
was traveling.
after Obadiah, there'll be, so that we don't interfere and interrupt the flow, there'll be Juliet Otieno and then Othello. Those are the hands I've seen up. We'll follow in that order. Let's go.
Yes, I was traveling. I was traveling to DRC last week, but one, and
Okay.
I carried the book as a powerful tool that would help me to get rid of the boredom of the road because I was using the road.
Okay, okay.
Interestingly, when I started reading, there is a fellow Rwandese who was seated by my side. When he saw the title of the book, he got interested in the book, and we read this chapter two, or this we read this parts, the two of us, as I highlighted, and he was very much touched. I have his contact. In fact, he promised to send me some cash that I would buy the book and send it to where he is right now. But I think there are a few things that really caught my mind here. It's about learning from the fact of learning from great people, learning from great leaders, people who have gone ahead of you. As young people, I might be the youngest in this class. And one of the things that is keeping me moving forward is because the youngest friend that I have in my life right now is about 55. And this is a person that I run to and tell them everything about myself, everything that I have in terms of need. And through their knowledge and through their guidance, I've been able to achieve the little thing that I have right now in my life. So, in that spirit, I would like to back indeed what is being aired in this book. That it's good always to look for someone in terms of mentorship who can see ahead of you, like the example that you've given here, from 100, 107 to 92. That is a miracle. What if you didn't listen to the person, maybe to the person who gave you the guidance? So it's always good. It's always good, and it's beneficial when you pay attention to someone who is knowledgeable and who has gone ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Obadiah. Thank you very much. Very intuitive thinking there. Juliet Otieno.
Thank you so much, Prof. I read this chapter, but I love the way you have really broken it, because now you know you are the writer, and so when you explain, I get to understand. I can now get what you are thinking when you're putting it down.
Yes.
And I would like to relate this with an article we were reading about Professor Hendrik Howard. And I was just listening to explanation, and I could relate so much with the 7 habitual fundamental habits that he would practice so that he becomes an effective teacher.
Yeah. Yes.
And I've seen one of them here is about learning from the best, because he was talking about a leader is a reader, meaning that their learning never comes to an end, and they need to be people that keeps on looking for information to better themselves. And we are being told that Howard would always be seen with a pen and a paper. Even when he was just having a conversation with somebody, would be picking up important points and noting them down. He would always be reading, even 5 minutes in between appointments, he would be seated reading. And that was his culture, because he wanted to better himself. And so when I look at this and even the guideline you're giving us here, you being one of people that have achieved it so much in terms of leadership, and you're also giving us your history, how you did it even with Sunshine. And I've just loved the example you gave when you said that this year we must be among top 10. And it's a pioneer school. Then now what is to be done? That was a great courage. And I'm learning that courage is key, even in leadership, especially when you want to make some policies, or when you want to bring some things that you want to see them passing. And so one of them is 5 a.m. you're in the class, teaching the students, giving them exams. And by 5 in the evening, the same day, the papers have been marked and given back to the students. And I was like, wow, this one, this one needs a lot of discipline and sacrifice. And that is what also Howard is talking about. It's all about sacrifice, sacrificing your time. It is all of the focus. What is your focus? What you focus on, you sacrifice for it. And so you lead with your life, what he was talking about. Being in class on time, and he was there on time and ready and well prepared, not just being on time and not prepared. And so leadership entails a lot. What I'm getting from here, that demanding the most always, so that even as you tell the people, your juniors, this is what you want to achieve. Are you doing it yourself? And you have rebuked me. I am one of the people that sometimes when you go to the staff meeting and it's too long, sometimes you feel you are so bored and secretly you are with your phone there doing your own things. And okay, I know it's bad, but today I've been pointed directly on my face, because now we learn from our mistakes, so that next time, no matter how it is, because you've mentioned a point, a very important lesson may pass me the moment I was just reading a chat from somebody, and maybe that is what God wanted me to pick to help me. So I think I've really loved that, and I'm trusting God to help me put them into practice. Thank you.
Yeah. Remember our approach to this course in leadership. We'll establish the principles. We are getting them from journal articles. We'll do PowerPoint presentations on aspects. Like today, I have 2 PowerPoint presentations to do. But more important, it is experiential. We are in a workshop trying to write the history of Daystar. And I am just surprised. I haven't told them. They see me carry 2 bags, 2 of my bags, my backpack and a traveling bag full of books on different aspects, because I've seen what that history book will entail. And I normally have about 20 textbooks around me all the time to read. And inevitably, as you read, some aspects, some concept, some sentence comes up that gives clarity to what you're describing. But I get mesmerized when I'm sitting with my colleagues with PhDs and they don't have any book, no single book. They are putting ideas that they have from their heads. You can only be as good as the books you read. Yes, if you want to be a great author, great researcher, great lawyer, a great teacher, then you must constantly be reading. Never be anywhere without a book. And later on in this book, there's a chapter on my Jewish upbringing. I was brought up by a Jewish couple. My father was their driver. And one of the things that was a must, it was sanctified, was that you must always have a book. Whether you are in the bedroom, whether you are on the dining table, you must go with the book, then you'll put it next to you as you eat. After you eat, you are taking the book. And that was indoctrinated in me because the Jewish people believe the biggest investment is your education. That people can take away the houses, like, the Holocaust, they were shattered. But if somebody leaves you with your brain, you can go anywhere and start again and build houses, buy cars, buy sofas, buy what. So that's the biggest investment. Liz, no, Leonga, was it Leah or is it Othello?
Yes, I'm third on the line. Okay, Prof, thank you so much for this reading. Yes, this book is not just a book, and it is accompanied by what you are teaching us today. And in many, many weeks we have been together. And your message there that you must lead, when you are leading, you lead with your life. It is like a devotional I read that your life must be your sermon. Let people see what you are doing. You cannot say, you cannot preach water and drink wine. You sit at the back, and
Please
now
let
you
us mute. Let us mute our mics. There's some noise from the background.
Yes. So when you are leading, the way you have led by example, and you have told us in the school you are, and also during this exercise moment that you did like this, I can see how you are able to sustain so many things, so many meetings, traveling here and there. If you did not do this exercise to be like this, where will you be in the kind of responsibility that you have in Daystar, and you have to travel a lot, you have to attend so many meetings. One of the challenges that you really challenged me last year, late last year when we were in chapel at the river, you made a statement which was very challenging. You said that you called for a meeting at 6:30 and somebody was complaining that why is Professor Ayiro calling for a meeting at 6:30? It's not working out. So this person was complaining. Then you said, I know the person who complained, but I've forgiven them. And this is one of the most difficult areas of Christian life, forgiving. And I was very challenged. Say, wow, this is amazing. And so, Professor, you have been leading by example. My prayer is that people will learn from what we are having in class here and from your daily interaction with other people, that they will even do better. Thank you.
Prof, you're muted.
Saying Leah, then Liz. We have so much to cover, so let's move.
Okay, thank you, Prof. My take home from what you've discussed today is that I should not be scared of the many asks or the demands that I make. And as I was reading this part, I called myself to a meeting. You know, sometimes asking my spouse about something, I'm requesting for something, I'm demanding for something. And sometimes I'm like, am I making too much demands? Am I making so many asks? At some point, I get scared. But now, after going through the second part, demanding the most always, it has really encouraged me that I should keep on making this asks. And through this way, I'll be able to improve my life, and whatever I need in my life is going to be manifested, and my life is going to be transformed. So for me, I've gained courage of making so many demands and ask without fear. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Liz Mudoni?
Thank you, Prof. What I'm taking from this chapter is that our lives begin to end the day we remain silent about things that matter. So that tells me that I should never be silent. As Christian leaders, we should never be silent on things that matters. Sometimes it's so hard to stand alone, and it's a very difficult moment. But you really have to stand, because whatever you're fighting for really matters. The Bible says in the book of Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given. So we should ask. The whole verse is about asking. A, ask. S, seek. K, knock. The word ask. So ask and it shall be given. Let's not keep quiet. Let's stand for what matters, because there will come a time we'll look back and we will enjoy the fruit of what we stood for. Thank you.
Yeah. And just by coincidence, my daughter's in this class, and she was my walking mate during COVID. She also did. We actually ended up doing about 3,000 kilometers. Doing an average of about 15 kilometers per day, between 10, 15, sometimes we stretched to 20. It was tough, but it trimmed my body. It has cost me, to change my wardrobe, but I think it is worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to do a presentation, then we'll come back to the book so that we tie up the ideas that I'm trying to float around. And My prayer is that you'll all become great leaders. That's my ardent prayer. That you'll all become great leaders, and we'll all be proud of you because you went through this course, not to get just the master's degree, but actually to turn out to be transformative in your life and to others. So just a minute. I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, we can.
You can. Okay, very good.
Yes, can.
When I talk about making the big asks, one of the things you will need to be aware of, to develop as a leader, so that you may demand the most always, is to up your emotional intelligence. The good thing, unlike the IQ, the intelligent quotient, emotional intelligence can be learned. We can learn it. In this book, we didn't read that part. I think it's in the forward. I later on learned that my own mother, who had not gone to school, really was vast in the realm of emotional intelligence and sobered me up in so many ways, including the time in my life where I did not make it for medicine and I did not want to go for teaching. And she told me, my son, you wanted to be a doctor, but God wanted you to be a teacher, and you will be a great teacher. And she had many things. If I would go to her, like run to her and say, I'm going to Nairobi, I'm very late, she would stop me in my tracks and say, don't ever say that. Say, God willing, I'll go to Nairobi. Because it's not you who decides whether you'll arrive or not. So I would like us to delve into aspects of emotional intelligence. And I normally use this picture. I'm soon going to take some pictures of blacks, of our own people, but this will suffice. This is a Japanese female facial expression database. This person, I need to escape because I want to ask some questions here. This person, this top, for me, top left. Mogere Moseti. How would you describe this person? How would you describe this person? This facial look, this one.
I would say this is a person who is wondering or trying to stare at something.
Is wondering.
Yes.
Yes, is wondering. You know, maybe shocked, huh? Perplexed, huh? Very good.
The person is shocked.
Shocked. How about this one? Ndunge Caroline. How about this one?
She looks worried.
She looks worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worried is there somebody who has a better term? Not a better term, a different term, sorry. Yeah, she looks worried, but for me, she looks, yeah?
Disappointed.
She looks disappointed, yes?
I can see she's angry.
She's angry, she's gloomy,
She's
annoyed.
sad.
She's sad, yes. All those.
She's sad.
Yeah, so all those are true. How about this person here, the bottom here? How would you describe her facial expression?
Is in pain.
Is in?
Pain.
Pain.
Terrified.
Terrified, yes. That looks like somebody who's terrified. Frightened, isn't it? Surprised.
This one is frightened, actually, as the way Prof has said.
Yeah, frightened.
She has seen something, looking.
She has looked as if she has just seen a python. Yeah?
It's a disheartening moment.
Yes, and this one? There's one word, happy. She's happy.
Happy.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are teachers on this in this class, most of you go to teach physics to this person. You enter class, you're teaching maths to this person. You enter class, you're teaching Farsi or literature to this person. You can never get the best out of this person. So the struggle in life is to create happiness. This person, you can teach them differential equations without any problem. You can teach her the toughest verses, the toughest interpretations in the Bible. She'll just laugh through them. So the challenge in life, and I was even at my university, I keep telling people, you must judge the happiness level of your class. Is the class with you? Then they will learn. Even if it is a difficult subject, they will learn. Because you have put them in that state of happiness, either giving them hope, encouraging them, the way you are teaching, the way you are giving them time. Many of you have told me, Prof, really, we are appreciative of Dr. Mwaka. She has really sacrificed, and she's worried about all of us. Yes. So what am I saying? Othello and Regina Waita and Rhoda Ocheng and Sarah Ngachi. I am saying the hardware of the brain, the IQ, is fine. All of us need it. You need it to do calculations in maths. You need it to read through the laws of the Republic of Kenya. You need IQ. But more importantly today in leadership, you need to deal with the messy matters of the heart. The messy matters of the heart. You need to go into an area that is very hard to define, but it is the one that gives the biggest leverage that you can ever get. So, what is emotional intelligence? Some background. The behavior revolution inspired by Skinner, those of us who did psychology, and the subsequent cognitive revolution saw interest in emotion seriously undermined. But today there is a robust resurgence of interest in emotions across the board. You know, there was a time everybody was talking about the IQ test. How high is your IQ? That student has a very high IQ. So even if you had a boy in your village who smoked bang 24 hours, but was good in maths, that is all that mattered. Oh, so-and-so's son is very bright, although he smokes bangi and does all these other things. He's a very bright boy. So the hardware, the IQ was then regarded very important. So I want us to look at what is emotional intelligence, how different is it different from other established constructs within psychology like IQ? And my question is it possible to develop emotional intelligence? And research has shown yes. Is EQ, emotional intelligence, a better predictor of work performance? Science has shown when IQ scores, that is your intelligence quotient test scores, are correlated with how well people perform in their careers, the highest estimate of how much difference IQ accounts for is about 25%. So the fact that you are bright, the fact that you got 400 marks and went to Alliance High School or Kenya High or Mangu will only account to about 25% of success in life. And I want you to think about it. The IQ. If we map EQ and IQ, and these are the pillars of leadership. So when it comes to the question of whether a person will become a star performer in the top 10% or be an outstanding leader, IQ is a less predictor or is a less powerful predictor than EQ. And this is scientific. Goldman is the father of emotional intelligence. And I'll be showing you a video shortly, if I can find it on good time. So competences that integrate the cognitive, the hardware of the brain, the emotional and social abilities come into play. And I'm arguing that the cognitive or cognition and emotions are interwoven in mental life, and we have to awaken them. That's why when you see people bashing our approach, where we are introducing an aspect that nurtures the person, nurtures the heart, humbles the person, increases the dimension of love and care. You know, even psychologically, they don't know what we are trying to do. We are raising the EQ of the people. This class, and Caro, I'd be interested in the number of absenteeisms or absentees. I can see quite a high number. I would like to know why and blacklist them so the marks for participation can come down. But this class, because of your level of interaction, you will come out more balanced people. Why? Because the numerous devotions that we are giving, the discussions we are having, are building your EQ as we give you the IQ with the substance of the curriculum. So to assume a position of leadership in today's workplace often requires an individual to demonstrate above average intelligence. You must be intelligent, the hardware. So you must have a degree, or you must have passed your Form 4 or that. So leadership requires a high level of cognitive ability in order to process the complexity of information leaders face today. So it is important that I'm able to use a computer. That is IQ. By the way, this advantage, I got it in Jogo House. Those days when we were given computers, all the directors and my colleagues locked them up in their drawers, in the safe. But I asked my secretary, Lucy Kaigongi, a lady who was just a Form 4 leave at that time, to be giving me lessons on the keyboard and computers every evening. And then I would give her a small arrangement. Then she became very passionate because she was feeling very great. She was teaching this man who is supposedly very clever. And that's how Saitoti then, this gave me the advantage to be the speech writer for Professor Saitoti to do his PowerPoints when we are going to Paris or Washington or London. And as I've said this to you before, I was able to travel to 57 capitals of the world. It can never have happened without me submitting myself to learning and from my secretary. So you require, if you are a doctor, CPA, CEOs, you all need a high IQ to hold the job. Even to get the job, you must have the master's or the PhD. However, simply having an IQ in that superior range does not in itself guarantee that you'll be a superior doctor, accountant, head teacher, etc. So what are the studies saying? The studies are saying that your IQ, the hardware of the brain, contributes only about 25% to success in life. Other forces include emotional intelligence. Now it is at about 42%. Luck. Yeah, just luck. Chance. And social class. Have you had this situation where the son of Ayiro's watchman at Soy can get a B minus, but ends up at Kericho TTC or Eregi TTC, and the son of the principal in the village gets a C plus, or the daughter, and ends up at the university? You know, social class and also luck comes in. So those also will determine whether you become successful or not. So this is the book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ by Daniel Goleman. So what is EQ? What is emotional intelligence? When Ayiro talks about emotional intelligence, what is he talking about? It is the ability to recognize your emotions, understand what they mean, and how they affect others. Some people describe it as a variety of non-cognitive. In fact, they are found in the primitive part of the brain. Non-cognitive abilities, capabilities, and skills that influence one's ability to succeed and cope with demands, pressures, and change. As I was telling you yesterday, our the social media, Daystar was trending the whole day. My EQ advised me to remain silent. And if I mention anything, I would just say, may God give us the armor to fight this battle. And that's all. All that, because I received communication. I received communication from the ministry wanting an explanation, I gave them. I've requested them to come and do an audit and see what really we do, and they can advise us. You see, sometimes if your EQ is very low, you can get fired up. But when the person eventually comes and meets you, they begin to wonder, is this Professor Ayiro, would he be an architect for LBQT? This man I'm looking at. This man with 5 degrees, would he not respect an evaluation system? You know, this man who is a vice chancellor is supposed to enjoy the niceties of offices and going all over the place and what, actually has classes at master's and PhD, attends defenses. Isn't this a serious university? Is this the university Kenya is shouting about when other universities are rotten? But you don't want to say that. You allow your emotions, you recognize your emotions, you understand what they mean, and you know how they'll affect others. I can be indifferent until I affect. If the Minister for Education came, if I met him, and he asked me something like, is it true? I would ask him, do you think it is true? I wouldn't go into arguments. Do you think it is true? Do you know my track record in this world, not just in Kenya, but in this world? Do you think this would be true? So this area of emotions and emotional control is what we call emotional intelligence. So I want us to pause for 10 minutes. I want to look for the video, but don't leave the platform. About 5, not 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And then I will summon you back so that we... Okay. It's always good for them to know that we are also watching now too. can we come back?
Yes.
Did we? I'm trying to. Are you seeing the video?
Yes.
Yes,
Emotional
we are.
intelligence refers.
You are. Okay.
Yes.
Can we mute, please? Mute. All right. Let's go. Just listen. This is the father of emotional intelligence. If you go into the databases on emotional intelligence, there are very few of us who have actually done research and published in the area of emotional intelligence. And it's an area that I'm encouraging many people to go into because it makes a difference. Let's watch the clip first.
Emotional intelligence refers to how well we handle ourselves and our relationships. There are 4 domains: self-awareness, knowing what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, which is a basis of, for example, good intuition, good decision making. Also, it's a moral compass. Second part is self-management, which means handling your distressing emotions in an effective way so that they don't cripple you, they don't get in the way of what you're doing, and yet attuning them to them when you need to so that you learn what you must. Every emotion has a function. Also, marshaling positive emotions, getting ourselves involved, enthused about what we're doing, aligning our actions with our passions. The third is empathy, knowing what someone else is feeling. And the fourth is putting that all together in skilled relationship. So that's what I mean by emotional intelligence. There are many definitions out there. The part of the brain, it turns out, that supports emotional and social intelligence is actually the last circuitry of the brain to become anatomically mature. And because of neuroplasticity, the brain shapes itself according to repeated experiences. So my argument is, hey, we should be teaching kids regularly, over time, in a systematic way, self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and social skill. And in fact, there are now enough programs, and they've been around enough in schools, that they're about to publish a huge meta-analysis looking at hundreds of schools and kids that had the program versus those that don't. And guess what? All antisocial behavior, disruption in class, violence in school, goes down 10%. Pro-social behavior, liking school, well-behaved, up 10%. Academic achievement scores up 11%. So it really pays. Executive function, which is mediated by the prefrontal lobe, both helps you manage your emotions and helps you pay attention. So as kids learn these skills, they also learn basic learning skills. I think that the fact that that was an argument was one thing that caught people's attention. Then there was a little chapter on called Managing with Heart, which argued that leaders who were sons of a bitch were actually defeating the company's own mission. And I think that made a lot of people happy because they work for people like that. I don't know, some people gave it to other people because they thought they needed help in this domain. I'm sure there's a zillion reasons why people like the book. I know IQ has been going up for 100 years as children encounter a more sophisticated cognitive environment as they grow. I don't know that we're becoming more emotionally intelligent. I like to hope we would, but I think that the number of intergroup wars going on, the intergroup hatred going on, the levels of familial abuse, in other words, indicators of emotions out of control in dangerous ways, don't look that great, which is why I'm a very strong proponent of getting these social emotional learning programs in every school worldwide. You have to remember that emotional intelligence is a range of abilities: self-awareness, emotional self-management, empathy, social skills. Women tend to be better than men on average at empathy, particularly emotional empathy, sensing in the moment how the other person is feeling. And also it's at social skills, at keeping things feeling good between people and a group. Men, on the other hand, tend to be better on average at self-confidence, particularly in groups, and at managing distressing emotions. But what's very interesting is if you look at leaders who are in the top 10%, there's no difference between the men and the women on any of those variables. In other words, you have a whole human being. So I would say that on average, there probably are differences, men and women, in this domain of ability. But as people develop their skills, as people become more effective, they pick up strengths in areas that they need. I think that emotional intelligence is a universal, but it looks different in different places. Japan has a very rigid set of rules of social interaction, lots of subtleties. Americans typically blunder into the Japanese system, don't get what's going on. And, it's embarrassing, but they wouldn't recognize necessarily emotional intelligence in Japanese setting. Brazil is a very different culture. It's very outgoing, kind of like an Italian culture. And so it would look different there. But I think the fundamentals are the same.
Excuse me, Prof, you're muted. Excuse me.
Be aware.
Yes, I'm aware now. The construct of emotional intelligence was defined by Salovey and Meyer, 1989 and 90, as the ability to monitor one's own feelings and emotions, the ability to monitor the feelings and emotions of others, and to use this information to guide future thinking and action. So it is, again, it is very important for us to be able to to internalize what emotional intelligence is about. The ability to monitor. I think the most important thing is the ability to monitor one's own feelings and emotions, and then the ability to monitor the feelings and emotions of others, and then use this information to guide future thinking and action. So these are the emotional intelligence has those 5 components. Emotional intelligence quotient has 5 components. And Goldman was talking about them here not so long ago. There is self-awareness. There is managing emotions. There is motivating yourselves or ourselves. There is empathy. And there is resolving conflicts and handling relationships. You know, all these things are very important for you in spite of what your IQ is. So, nafikiri mshasikia katika kijiji chenu ama mtaa wenu watu wakisema ya kwamba yule kijana wa fulani fulani masomo yalimshinda sana, yalimzidia, lakini tabia, mwenendo, ukakamavu ananawiri sana. So if you're looking for a driver, you have 2 drivers. Both of them are able to drive, but this other one has these attributes that they're talking about. So this old man, who was my father, without knowing, he had a very high sense of self-awareness that he was a driver driving these wazungus and that he had to do his best. That's why he always had a khaki rag in his hands in his car. So when the wazungus would go out, he would be going around the car akipanguza. Not the drivers of today who will aggregate. Once they have dropped us in our offices, they aggregate to start talking about their bosses. And just that, God allowed his son to be picked up by these Jews to give me an education I would never have imagined. We stayed in Kibera ourselves, but I moved from there to go to Nairobi Primary those days when it was a purely Wazungu school. That has nothing to do with the IQ of a person. That is the emotional intelligence aspect. So what are the EQ scales? We have the intrapersonal, tuseme, these are the things within you. And I'm asking you to meditate upon this. And I'm asking, what is your level of self-regard? Yeah, just self-regard. I haven't met many of you. The other day I had the privilege to meet Leah. She came to introduce herself. But the others, and of course, a few others I know. But what is your level of self-regard? So even me as a vice chancellor, how do I conduct myself? How do I dress for chapel? How do I behave when I've been given classes to teach in spite of the busy office? When I do trainings, I teach, I talk to people, particularly when I do schools. I do many schools, but nowadays I'm too congested. And when we are going around in the groups, somebody is trying to explain something and you're next to them. And my God, this person you ask yourself, when did they last brush their teeth? You know, I know that Listerine is expensive, but you don't need Listerine to have a fresh breath. This is something my mother taught me, that you brush your tongue. In fact, you don't brush your teeth, you brush your tongue. If you brush your tongue over and over again and you brush the upper part of your mouth and then you brush your teeth, harufu itakuwa sawa the whole day. But what do? We put toothpaste on a brush. We brush, the front of our teeth. Uko ndani kidogo, iko ndani maji, papa, unatupa. Brushing should take you about 10 minutes. Brushing your teeth. Brushing your teeth, we should be saying brushing your mouth. So that you brush your mouth, you brush your tongue. I'm talking about self-regard.
Self-regard.
Self-regard. What am I doing to other people? Walimu wenzangu mimi, and I've told people, I know nowadays I understand deodorant has gone up from 240 to 500. But before that, deodorant too, why don't you have some stick so that people don't smell your sweat? Huh? Self-regard, you are a married person and it is prize-giving day in your school, and your column of maths or English is the poorest performing, and you have come with your spouse. What do you think they think about you? Self-regard. Ukiwa mwanaume, what type of home have you made for your wife? Is she proud to walk into the... Just self-regard. And if you are a woman, the mother, the biggest homemaker is the mother. Are you conscious of that? You see, these are not things that you'll be examined in the exam. No, these are not examined. Self-awareness. Who am I? Self-awareness. That's why when you hear all these, people who go around multiplying falsehoods and masquerading as being intelligent and members of parliament, they have a very low self-awareness. They don't even know themselves. Assertiveness. I'm not talking about being tough, being rude. No, you can be very assertive in a very gentle and mild manner. Many times with my colleagues, like I'll give you an example. One time, the games department took my boys from Moi, and then they went to Nakuru, and then the boys went rioting. But why did they go rioting? Because the faculty members were the first to jump out of the bus just before they reached Nakuru. So the students were on their own. So when the OCS Nakuru called me, I ordered the bus to come back. They were going to Mombasa, they came back. The faculty came, I didn't start shouting. I just decided to be assertive in a very subtle way. I said, Dr. So-and-so and so-and-so, please help me understand what could have happened. Help me understand so that we can reconcile this situation. Your sense of independence, not being influenced by others. How strong is it? Those are intrapersonal. Then self-actualization. That's why I'm very proud of people who pursue masters and PhD. You see, you must have, your EQ must be urging you to say, but I must get my master's. If for nothing else, but for self-actualization. And after this master's, I must do my PhD. Yeah, who doesn't want to have a nice house? Who doesn't want to do a consultancy that will give them 30, 40 million and they are able to invest into something? But you must self-actualize, Maslow's pyramid. Then we have the interpersonal skills. Now, between you and me, between you and your friend, between you and your spouse, between you and your children, empathy, being able to feel what they're feeling, social responsibility. I tell people there's nothing as important as that. These things of giving back, these things of being a chair of your primary school, of your church, interpersonal relationship. Are you the person whose department is always fighting? You know, when a department is always in turmoil, it's about you. It's not about the members. It is you, the leader. Interpersonal skills. Then the other EQ skill is adaptability. Are you able to adapt? There's reality testing. The other day, I saw you being put through a software for referencing, reality testing, thesis management system. Even some of you now, you're doing statistics. I know how demanding, I'm not saying difficult, demanding and challenging that subject is. Are you able to cope? Are you exerting yourself more? Flexibility, problem solving, adaptability sits in the realm of emotional intelligence. Stress management. How do you manage stress? Stress tolerance. Men are good at it. Impulse control, women are very poor at it. So, are you able to control and therefore manage stress? Let me tell you, even when I'm under so much stress, hardly anybody would know, right from my family. That's why they keep calling me, Dad, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? That's what we're talking about. Then general mood. Ama wewe ndio yule mtu ambaye unakuja watu wamefurahi and then you come in with a negative statement. Why are you happy? Why are you laughing in this useless school? Yeah? You have a knack for destroying the moods. Yes, we have just had a wonderful parade at school. Our soccer team has done very well. Everybody's in big high moods. You are not on parade. And then you come in the staff room and you say, have you seen umekaona kale katu? Leo kamenunua viatu mpya. That is our money. I mean, you are known to destroy the mood. What is your sense of optimism? What is your sense of happiness? Those are the scales of emotional intelligence. So let me summarize them. Emotional self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand one's feelings and emotions. Self-actualization, the ability to tap potential, capacities, and skills in order to improve oneself. Empathy, the ability to be attentive to, understand, and appreciate the feelings of others. Interpersonal relationship, the ability to establish and maintain mutual, satisfying relationships. And flexibility, the ability to adjust one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors to changing situations and conditions. Problem solving, the ability to identify and define problems as well as to generate potentially effective solutions. And impulse control is the ability to resist or delay emotional behaviors. So don't be impulsive. And then high IQ here, critical, condescending, inhibited, uncomfortable with sensuality, emotionally bland. Somebody almost like a robot. High emotional, intelligence, poised, outgoing, committed to people and causes, sympathetic and caring, comfortable with themselves. Let me pause for 2 minutes to have a reaction so far on emotional intelligence. A very important aspect in leadership. Any comment? I can see interesting questions.
Prof.
Yes, yes.
I am just laughing.
Is that Chris?
Of you got place where in high emotions your districts. Yes, this is Chris, Prof.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if my internet is am I audible enough?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Right. Yes. I was laughing when you are talking of somebody, you come to a place where people are laughing, they're celebrating, and you're like, sasa nyinyi mnacheka nini? What is it? Actually, the people who are like that, sometimes I wonder if it is their personality trait or it's just a behavior that is inborn. But then I think today I have learned something. It's all about the IQ. Yes.
Yeah, it is IQ. Any other comment? Remember, we are trying to turn things into practice.
Prof, I think I know why the women, when Goldman was, we were watching the video, Goldman was saying on empathy, women seem to be doing well on average. I think I know why, because they are mothers. So they have that aspect of the care aspect is in them. But men also on the social side, they are also very good at it. So women did not carry all the day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Prof.
Paul, yes, go ahead.
Thank you for this eye-opening topic, and I'm actually trying to evaluate myself where I'm sitting. The question which is rising in my mind is that how possible can a leader have all these traits?
Yeah, you've got to work on them. You have to work on them. So that's why leadership is a journey. Do you know now people are realizing, and I'm not saying that because of my age profile, but people are now realizing, actually, if you appoint leaders, you must, mature leaders will offer better leadership. We thought young people, of course, there are always exceptions, but generally speaking, emotional intelligence is cultivated. And so you are able to be more balanced in your approach, in your judgment, in your impulse control, in your empathy, etc. Macho, Florence?
Prof, I'm wondering, tongue in cheek, whether gender has got something to do with it in certain aspects of what we are learning today.
Yeah.
I was in an event this morning, and we're releasing, the Khan University was releasing results of how women are framed in the media. and the statistics of the three countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, in terms of women in leadership, and how that represents in terms of representation. Then the provost of Aga Khan University in his speech said he's been the provost for around 30 years across different Aga Khan universities.
Yeah.
But what he has noticed is that when you give equal opportunities to both men and women, when it comes to leadership, and that's why I'm saying tongue in cheek, he has found over the years when he started the university, the leadership of male and female was around, men was about 70-30. But now it has shifted to female being 70-30.
Yeah.
And he's seeing the results of that.
Yeah.
And the key thing he was talking about is around empathy. He was talking about, being able to listen. You remember when we started this conversation today, you talked about being able to listen, being able to ask certain questions. And that happens a lot with the female gender. So that's why I'm asking tongue in cheek. Has gender got anything to do with it?
Yeah, really not gender. Notice Goldman said when you take the top 10% of leaders, whether they're male or female, their EQ is almost in the same range. But, men have been having an advantage because of the IQ aspect. So they're the ones who went for masters, for PhDs, and so on. But now, women are also sharpening their IQ. But then in addition, they have the EQ. They're working on their EQ. And so the statistics could show that. But I'm saying EQ can be learned. Is IQ, by the way, IQ after Form 4, which is about 18 years of age, your IQ stagnates. That's why when I do interviews myself, even if you have PhDs and masters, I always want to look at your O-level certificate, because that will tell me your IQ. Whether you add on all these other qualifications, your O-level measures the IQ. And now, as you do your master's, your PhD, you get into courses like these ones we are doing, and now you begin to look at different dimensions about leadership and management, and you become better. Let's continue because of time. I have quite a bit to cover, and I'm seeing it's already running to 8. So this is what it is: attributes of emotional intelligence, self-regulation, management, social skills, empathy, motivation and passion, and self-awareness. You have to engage these aspects of yourself. If you are in a school, if you go to a place and you have an attitude, that attitude will kill you. So you don't have to love that school or that organization, but have passion in the space you have been given in that organization. Be empathic to the students. Ask yourself, if I'm not doing my part, what will happen to these students? And these are aspects I've gone through, and Goldman also went through. So we come to our famous iceberg. Look at where we are. What we see of you is the IQ, the tip of the iceberg. But who you really are is below. That is the EQ. So in life, colleagues, in life, the struggle, if you want to be a good leader, is you want to move this mass so that it comes up, so that what we see is both your IQ and EQ. Then you become exemplary. I remember many people, by the way, the first generation of graduates in Kenya, they got so obsessed with having that degree, it became a cancer unto them. Yeah, they didn't relate well. They didn't uplift others. They went to school. They told students, you can never pass physics or maths. You are a dunderhead. I remember I was teaching somewhere in Mumias and somebody came and said, you know, you people from Mumias can never do maths. Can you imagine? So when this fellow would go to class for maths, the students would walk out. Until we got a teacher who did not even have a degree from Kenya Science. And maths classes became packed and students were passing maths. That is a matter of EQ and not IQ. So the IQ gets you hired. The EQ gets you fired or promoted. This is the professional success. And it's important to have that in mind, to bear that in mind all the time. Very important for you to note as you walk in your career. So IQ, I try to do these graphics. They look horrible. That face looks horrible, but it's okay. IQ, the head. This is the hardware of the brain. EQ is about matters of the heart. And that constitutes your personality. So you must have these two aspects interwoven. In other words, if these two are interwoven, then this iceberg, the bulk of it will be up there, would be seeing it. And you'll be that excellent performer in your various areas. So the personality entails the feeling part and the thinking part. And that is what we are calling the EQ in summation. So what are emotions? I really don't want to get into this, but we have an emotion is a natural instinct state of mind deriving from one's circumstances and mood or relationship with others. So we have some positive emotions. I'm sure you know them: love, appreciation, happiness, confidence, enthusiasm, optimism. By the way, this is a very important aspect. This is a very important weapon in life. Being vulnerable. Being vulnerable. Vulnerability builds trust. People trust you. Unfortunately, most of you are not. We had chapel. I was preaching in Nairobi campus on Tuesday this week. And I was telling people about the grace of God and that God's grace is sufficient. So I talked about my late daughter and the circumstances that took her away. In chapel, when I was telling students that it is God's grace that will help us overcome alcoholism, and all those vices, and avoid the dangers of HIV and all those other things. When I finished that sermon, a group of students followed me up to my office on 7th floor. And they said, VC, we just want to thank you for that sermon. Because most of the sermons we have, people come to preach to the converted. They come to preach to the converted. And they'll be quoting from one verse to the other, and this one says this, but they never turn it into reality. So that boy used this word, and thank you for being vulnerable before us. That message sank very deep. That Allah, so the VC can talk about himself, his struggles also. That is emotional intelligence. Then we have negative emotions, which again you have to fight to overcome. Many of you have anger, depression, jealousy, resentment, envy, all of us. So I'm not saying we don't have this, but we have to work very hard on them to overcome them when you know the theory of emotional intelligence. So they are subjective, expressive, psychological.
Prof.
Yes.
Prof, I have a question. Kindly, if you can go back to the good, that slide, yes. Now, some negative emotions. Now, Prof, could you please, as a leader in an organization, and some of your colleagues, not really colleagues, but your colleagues in the department or a different department possess the third item, some negative emotions. Now, if not all of them, some of them, in the spirit of leadership and in the spirit of emotional intelligence, what do you do as a leader?
I lead through my life. And maybe you have not been in Daystar for long. There are many times I've gone to chapel where I exhibited, for example, anger to a member of staff, a junior member of staff. Then, after some time, I realized, but you know, I'm the VC. If I show anger or distaste for somebody, imagine the burden I have put on the shoulder of that person. They can't even stand up. They don't know how the CEO feels about them. I've gone to chapel when the person has changed, and I've called them in chapel and apologized that I was very unfair with you. Yes, when I came to Daystar, I got, you know, when you go in an organization, you're told about everybody, mainly bad things about everybody else. And when I entered my office, my executive personal assistant, Mary Njeri, told me, you know, I'm just acting here. So when you settle, you will advertise and get your own person. I told Mary, I don't do those kind of things. Yeah. Today, the Mary in my office is not the Mary I met 4.5 years ago. She has blossomed. She's confident. She runs my diary. She does everything. She books, like now she's planning. I'm supposed to be in the US in April. She's already planning for the states where I'll go, who I'll meet, the itinerary, the ticketing, and so on. I said, no. So how do you change such people, Chris? You lead by living your life. Yeah, you lead through your life. It's the same thing. At Moy University, when I took over as acting, there was so much tension. They told me, no, you can't. All these people, and they happen to come from one tribe. I simply called the people, my people, the one who was the custodian of my office, and I thank God for him who took care of my food, my mursik, my three secretaries, and the cleaner. I called them and told them, sit down. You are my cup bearers. Took them to the Bible. So before I drink that poison, you will drink it first. Let us work as a family. What a relationship I had. My two drivers, my driver and my bodyguard, they were not of my tribe, but they have remained very special people. I've gone to Bomet, to my driver Sang's home, Paul, my bodyguard. I went when he lost the mother. We're just great friends. Yeah. So when you see people exhibit negative emotions, you should demonstrate to counter them. I hope I've answered you.
Very well answered.
Yeah.
Prof, and thanks for this.
Prof has counted those people with love.
Yeah. Yeah. Love is persevering, is patient. So those different types of emotions, you read about them because of time. You'll get this presentation today, I promise. And the other presentation, I think the other presentation in research, you need to get it before tomorrow's class. And here's a test for you. And I'm giving each of you 2 minutes. You read, you write your answer. I don't know whether you can all see that. Let me just to make sure we are all in this. Esther Jen, can you read us? Let's just do this together. Esther Jen, read us. Where are people on this? Kedogo?
Okay.
Are you able
Allow me
to?
to read.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
You are on an airplane that suddenly hits extremely bad turbulence and begins rocking from side to side. What do? A, continue to read your book or magazine or watch the movie, trying to pay little attention to the turbulence. B, become vigilant. Sorry, I can't see clearly again.
Okay, do you want me to make it bigger? Can you see?
No.
It's better.
Yeah. It's okay now. B,
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
B, become vigilant for an emergency, carefully monitoring the stewardesses and reading the emergency instructions card. C, a little of both A and B, and D, not sure, never noticed.
Yes. So I want to see where your EQ is. Can you write your answer? Write it somewhere. Put your answer somewhere. So you write whether it is A, B, C, D. Okay. Test number 2. Somebody pick it up to save on time.
You're meeting
Okay.
You're in a meeting when a colleague takes credit for work that you have done. What do? A, immediately and publicly confront the colleague over the ownership of your work. B, after the meeting, take the colleague aside and tell her that you would appreciate in the future that she credits you when speaking about your work. C, nothing. It's not a good idea to embarrass colleagues in public. D, after the colleague speaks publicly, thank her for referencing your work and give the group more specific details about what you are trying to accomplish.
Yes. So put down your answer. We shall grade this together. Okay. Next, because of time, I wish we had more time. Yes.
You are a class teacher and have just gotten angry. You are a class teacher and have just gotten an extremely angry parent on the phone. What do you do? A, hang up. It doesn't pay to take abuse from anyone. B, listen to the parent and rephrase what you gather he is feeling. C, explain to the parent that he is being unfair, that you are only trying to do your job and you would appreciate if it wouldn't get in the way of this. D, tell the parent to understand how frustrating this must be for him and offer a specific thing you can do to help him get his problem solved.
Okay. I can see you posting. I don't want you to post the answers on the chat. You write it somewhere. Don't post the answers. I want to nataka kujua nani atapita hii mtihani. So what do you do when a parent is extremely angry? You hang up, you listen, you explain to the parent that he's being unfair, or you tell the parent you understand how frustrating this must be for him and offer a specific thing to help. Next.
Was hoped to
You're a
get
college,
an A.
you're a college
You're a
student.
Okay, one of you take it up. One.
You're a college student who had hoped to get an A in a course that was important for your future career aspirations. You have just found out you got a C- on the midterm. What do you do? A, sketch out a specific plan for ways to improve your grade and resolve to follow through. B, decide you do not have what it takes to make it in that career. C, tell yourself it really doesn't matter how much you do in the course. Concentrate instead on other classes where your grades are higher. And D, go see the professor and try to talk to him, giving you a better grade.
Yeah. So what do you do there? And some of the answers could be A and B, yeah, or A and D. Okay, next.
You are a principal of a school that is trying to encourage respect for social and ethnic diversity. You overhear a student telling an ethnic joke. What do? A, ignore it. The best way to deal with this thing is not to react. B, call the student aside and explain that their behavior is inappropriate and is grounds for disciplinary action if repeated. C, speak up on the spot, saying that such jokes are inappropriate and will not be tolerated in your school. And D, suggest to the person telling the joke he go through a diversity training program.
Yeah. So what would you do? Ignore, call the student aside, speak up on the spot, suggest that this person goes through a diversity training. Next, please pick it up quickly. We are running short of time.
You're an insurance salesman calling on prospective clients. You have left the last 15 clients empty-handed. What do you do? A, call it a day and go home early to miss rush hour traffic. B, try something new in the next call and keep plunging away. C, list your strengths and weaknesses to identify what may be undermining your ability to sell. D, sharpen up your resume.
All right, next.
You are trying to calm down a colleague who has worked herself into a fury because the driver of another car has cut dangerously close in front of her. What do you do? A, tell her to forget about it. She's okay now and it's no big deal. B, put it on her. Put on one of her favorite tapes and try to distract her. C, join her in criticizing the other driver. D, tell her about a time something like this happened to you and how angry you felt until you saw the other driver was on the way to the hospital.
Yeah, najua haya yanapumbwazwa, lakini ndio hivyo. Yes. This is an interesting one.
A discussion between you and your spouse has escalated into a shouting match. You are both upset and in the heat of the argument. Start making personal attacks, which neither of you really mean. What is the best thing to do? A, agree to take a 20-minute break before continuing the discussion. B, go silent, regardless of what your spouse says. C, say you are sorry and ask your spouse to apologize too. D, stop for a moment, collect your thoughts, then restate your side of the case as precisely as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do? They talk to each other and say, let's take 20 minutes break. We shall resume. Go silent. So you are all deaf and dumb. Say you are sorry and ask your spouse to apologize, or stop for a moment, collect your thoughts, then restate your side of the case as precisely as possible. Put your answer. Next.
You have been given the task of managing a department that has been unable to come up with convincing results. What is the first thing that you do? Draw up an agenda, call a meeting, and allot a specific period of time to discuss each item. B, organize an off-site meeting aimed specifically at encouraging the team to get to know each other better. C, begin by asking each person individually for ideas about how to solve the problem. D, start out with a brainstorming session, encouraging each person to say whatever comes to mind, no matter how wild.
Okay. And finally, the last test.
You have recently assigned a young HOD. You have recently assigned a young HOD in your school and have noticed that he appears to be unable to make the simplest of decisions without seeking advice from you. What do you do? A, accept that he does not have what it takes to succeed around here and find others in your team to take on his tasks. B, get the G&C person to guidance and counseling person to talk to him about where he sees his future in the school. C, purposely give him lots of complex decisions to make so that he will become more confident in the role. And D, engineer an ongoing series of challenging but manageable experiences for him and make yourself available to act as his mentor.
Yeah. So you can see this is a very intricate area on emotional intelligence. Has nothing to do with the hardware of your brain, your IQ, but you're making those subtle decisions. So because you're going to get this test, and in the interest of time, these are the answers. they'll be there. Can you do this test and then look at your answers that you gave? And that will tell me where your EQ is.
They are not visible.
They are not visible. Why?
It looks hazy.
Apple. Is that fair?
Not yet. Getting there.
Just a minute. Let me see.
Yeah.
I think it's large enough.
Not visible. Not yet.
Hata hapo bado.
Kusawa.
Yeah, but you're going to get it. That's not the point. You're going to get it.
I don't know.
You're going to get this. So you look at them. It is very important for you to look at the arguments. Look at the one like A. Look at A. Let me take you back to the first one we did. On this, the first test was this one in the aeroplane. You see what it is saying. Macho, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. For this particular question, I didn't write anything because I wanted to click D, not sure, but the never noticed stopped me. Reason being is that I wanted to say not sure because I haven't been in that situation. So I don't still know how I would react. Until I'm in that situation is when I will know. So I put a note there for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but you know, I was telling somebody the worst time to fly in the US is during summer. Is when you have the worst turbulence. Those tunnels of temperatures give you turbulence. The last year I was on a plane that I've never seen people shaken. The whole plane went silent. People were holding their seats and we were hitting into waves and waves of clouds and wind.
Number 9C.
So look at first of all, number one, look at the answer that was given. It says not D. That is, you can't give that as an answer. How can you not be aware that there is turbulence? Macho.
No, I didn't say not aware. I said
yeah.
I'm not sure how I'll react. And I stopped clicking D because it said I've not noticed. And that is what stopped me from ticking.
Yeah. But all these others are possibilities. What I do myself in a plane, I do a lot of reading. That helps me overcome panic. But it's also good to be vigilant. Keep looking at the stewardesses, see whether they're in panic mood, they're running up and down, or they're calm. Yeah,
Excuse me, Prof. My first reaction was that my answer was not among those ones. I was saying my answer will be prayer. But now, then I said, but I have to choose one of these ones. I have been in a similar situation where we were flying at Kenya Airways 50-seater from Nairobi to Kisumu early in the morning. And they warned us that there would be turbulence in the Rift Valley. When we got there, people became very religious because the plane was shaking. It was being hit with a very strong force. So all people became religious. I thought, now, if we have atheists here, they will all pray.
Yeah. And then you look
Fellow,
at
you
this.
should have done an altar call. People would have been saved there.
Now, can you tell me what was the answer here for most of you? What was the answer here for most of you?
Yes, I got it. B.
Just a minute. We have Gaki. You want to say something?
Yes.
Yes.
Just a general thought about the second one. So ideally get for most respondents, but others were, if it was an ideal situation, would I have done as I've actually written the response as? For example, the one about the ownership of the work, the meeting and all
Yeah.
that. Some people, depending on their personality, would actually decide to keep quiet on the matter and not engage it. But what is the ideal response when it now comes to the questions and how do we respond to it? So for me, some of the questions were an in between with regard to my personality and even the correctness of the question. What is there?
Yeah, but you know, you must be assertive, huh? Can we hear from Kedogo? You have something to say? And Maureen? No, Kedogo, yes.
Answer number 2.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
I was going to give an answer for number 2.
Your answer
went
number
to,
2.
Yes.
You take the colleague aside.
I went to B.
Mm.
I took B after the meeting, take the colleague aside. Because I do not think embarrassing them in the crowd is the best way to go. And also, I cannot just keep quiet and let them take the ownership of the work. So B was most appropriate with me.
But you are not being assertive. Huh? That's very dangerous because then unajua tunataka iwe funzo kwa wengine. Ama iwe funzo kwa wale ambao wana
I think there's always a better way to do it, Ama. Rather than shouting at them, wewe mbona umefanya hivyo nini?
Prof, I think
okay. Look at the
answer.
Actually, you'll be surprised if you have a good IQ for question number 2. The best answers are B and D.
D, yes.
But D is the best.
D, yeah.
D is the best. But B, you're also, I think you're being considerate. That's fine. But B and D are the best. So you look at them, and I hope that will get you into the thinking. We are going to encounter emotional intelligence over and over again as we move along. All right. Let's go to the class text. By the way, I've been very poor today with time because I was supposed to, after emotional intelligence, I was supposed to move to the next very important aspect. And this one we shall do in the next class. A very important aspect of leadership that many of us fail completely to utilize. So we shall hopefully be able to, just a minute. We will be, let me try and share this if it comes.
Excuse me, Prof, as you share.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine something about emotional intelligence in an organization landscape.
Yeah.
And if it was on your lot to speak a little bit about how emotional intelligence can compromise the performance of an institution, what would you have said?
I'd be a very reluctant respondent there. Remember, where it is absent, I can also take the extreme and say where it is absent, that department, that section, will not perform. Because the human heart cherishes encouragement. The human heart cherishes encouragement. So where, it will be interesting for us to explore where the IQ becomes more dominant in terms of performance. But we can pick that up in the next class. Please bring it up again. I'll want to engage you in some discussion. The next very important aspect is forming teams. And the 5 dysfunctions of a team is what I wanted to cover. And perhaps this is what has let down most institutions. Causes of friction in a team. So for assignment from our class text, you will do chapter 20 in advance. You read chapter 20 in advance for our next class. But this was the presentation I wanted to make, very significant. Very significant. In fact, the task of a leader is to relentlessly pursue a functional team in an organization. And we have many, many challenges where you get fractious teams in organizations. And the place just collapses. But also, you want a team that believes in the mission and vision of that organization. So this was a training we had with a team when I was at KICD as the deputy director in charge of curriculum and research. And it is very important for us as leaders to understand the team dynamics. So this will be our next aspect of leadership. But please continue reading about emotional intelligence. If you go to the library, get some books on it and read and read and read. Allow me to, because of time, allow me to ask us to move to chapter 5. It is just 2.5 pages, and then we shall close the lesson for today. So go to chapter 5. And I'm trying to get Osanya. Do you have a book, or you said you didn't have? Rhoda Ocheng, do you have a book? Rhoda?
No, I don't have the book. No,
Why aren't you having the book? I'm not, I don't want you to have the book to give me money. This money goes to the publishers, but we need the book as a class text. Stella, do you have a book? Or Silvanus Gatere? Any of you the book?
Yes, I have the book.
Oh, who is that? Stella?
Yes.
Okay, please.
But mine is online, so give me 1 minute to get to chapter 5. Okay, less than 1 minute.
Okay, and Silvanus Gatere, do you have a book? Terry? Taslin Otieno, do you have a book?
Yes, I do.
Who is that?
Terry?
Yes, I do have the book.
Terry, so be on standby.
This
And
is
Taslin?
Taslin.
Yeah, do you have it?
I do, Prof.
Okay, so be ready. So let's go to the reader who said is reading online. Go ahead.
Okay, chapter 5, Vision, craft it passionately. A vision is a picture of the future that produces passion in people. At Sunshine School, the doctrine of the strenuous life powered our vision of shining in excellence. Thomas Edison made the first public demonstration of this incandescent light bulb on December 31st, 1879 in Menlo Park, New York. During the demonstration, he said, "We will make electricity so cheap that only the rich will burn candles." In the late 1800s, the Wright brothers pictured a day when people would soar through the sky abroad. Let me repeat that. In the late 1800s, the Wright brothers pictured a day when people would soar through the sky aboard a metal capsule with wings. 10 years later, on December 17th, 1903, the Wright Flyer made its first ascent from a sandy beach in North Carolina, USA. In the 1940s, Billy Graham and a few of his college friends gathered together and dreamed of filling stadiums all over the world, presenting the gospel to people who were unaware of God in their lives. As of this writing, through the efforts, they made 215 million people around the world have heard the gospel message in person, while well over 1 billion have heard it via television and radio. The one thing common to all these leaders is this: they all had a vision. They all had a vision about what they were passionate, about which they were passionate.
About which they were passionate. So visioning, right from the plane to the bulbs. Can you imagine how many bulbs there are in Nairobi, in Kisumu, in Eldoret, in Mombasa, in Kenya, in Africa, in the US? One man dared. Today we fly without even thinking. Two Wright brothers, bicycle makers, and Billy Graham increased the outreach of the gospel to the people of the world. Next in line, our readers.
At the core of leadership sits the power of vision, the most potent offensive weapon in a leader's arsenal, in my opinion. It has been defined in a dozen of ways, but for me, the creepiest articulation of a vision is that it is a picture of the future that you want, that produces passion in people. At Sunshine School in 1995, I urged the staff and students to embrace the doctrine of the strenuous life, so that our school, on its first attempt of the KCSE examination, will be placed among the helmeted queens of academic excellence in our country. Whatever the mental picture of the vision, if those who hear it become passionate about it, then it is already en route to being realized. Our vision might be of a dying school being revitalized.
Your vision.
Mm-hmm. Your vision might be of a dying school being revitalized, or an established school finding its academic position nationally. It might be a lonely student in your school finding community, or a gifted art student finally using his creative gifts to excel and produce something phenomenal. It could also be your organization needing to overcome perpetual annual financial deficits. There are as many life-giving visionary pictures of the future as there are leaders among us. And when God finally brings clarity and certainty of vision in a leader's mind, the leader's agenda excels. My dream to one day be given an opportunity to head a school of excellence was triggered by something I read in my dingy papyrus partitioned office at Kegoye School in Western Kenya. It was a feature in the Sunday Nation on Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda's Presidential School in Malawi, arising out of the description and philosophy of the school of privilege
I submitted to God a prayer that He one day accord me an opportunity to lead a similar institution where the entire infrastructure was in place and the best of students identified and selected. My role would only be to lead the school to the path of excellence.
Okay, thank you very much. Good reading. Good reading. Next.
This is Taslin.
Yes.
Since the day I read the article on Kamuzu Academy in the Sunday Nation, I can still remember how I felt as vividly as if it were yesterday. In fact, if you strapped a heart monitor to my chest today as someone talks about the beauty or the wonder or the potential of a strong purpose, it would beep and flash. Abnormal, abnormal, abnormal. I owe my professional progression starting as school principal and moving on to be provincial director of education, policy expert in education, researcher, curriculum expert, director, quality assurance, deputy vice chancellor, AG, vice chancellor, and finally vice chancellor, to that one single moment, a deep player and a desire to lead a favored institution. Sunshine School, a presidential school, can only have been God ordained for me.
Okay, stop there. Next, the last reader.
I can read?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. The adventure at Sunshine Secondary School, started by President Daniel Arap Moi, still stirs the deepest kind of feelings in me. No other adventures I have undertaken in life elicit the same depth of feelings of endearment. I've had some other exhilarating experiences in my life, but they pale in comparison to what stars in my heart when it comes to that episode of giving my life to propel a pioneering school into national fame. Vision and passion are inextricably bound together in the life of a leader. God made it so. When through intuition you see God's vision for you, you will know it because you will feel it so deeply in your heart that over time, any lingering uncertainty will vanish. So as a leader, do not ever apologize for the strong feeling you have for the vision that God has put in you for your institution. Do not hide your feelings about it. God wants you to feel as deeply about his vision for you as you do about things you deeply care for. I mean that. Anything. Paint your God-given vision for your family, friends, colleagues, and total strangers if they will listen. Paint it with scintillating vivacity, dexterity, and as passionately as you can. Just get it crafted so that people's hearts are stirred enough to shout, "Count me in."
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I wish we had time to discuss, but please dig deep into the value of a vision. I want you to dig deep into the value of a vision and what it can do in your life. Could we have one or two closing comments or observations or suggestions? I'm sorry we are time out, and I don't want to rush through the aspects of making teams because that's a very critical part of leadership. Ruth, is your hand up?
Yes, it is. I just want to say thank you for the lesson because now I understand why people behave the way they behave at school. It is not because of it's because they don't have emotional intelligence. So at least now I know how to deal with people, even my students in school. So I appreciate the lesson totally. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah. Any other comment on this vision and EQ? Are you seeing that holding onto a vision is like holding on to something that is intangible. In fact, it is your little demon. It is it is the little demon in you that drives you, and people keep wondering, why is this fellow always running after this thing? That's in the realm of emotional intelligence. So you see dry visions at the gates of schools. Even the principal doesn't know what it is all about, or even a hospital. This is a corruption-free zone. You know, those kind of dry things are negative. But when you internalize a vision, even just as a teacher in a school or an officer in the bank, if you internalize a certain vision, God will come in. Jenny, Amisi?
Thank you, Professor. I think what's speaking to me is what you've just said. I think there's that little demon in me
Yes.
that may provoke some reactions. I don't have to be in terms with maybe everything that I'm seeing, probably the leadership I have to work under.
Yeah.
But now I need to learn to be guided by my emotional intelligence. And I may be able to speak even where I've not been given a voice, but probably my actions would make the difference.
It is true. Yeah. Wonderful. Good. I'm hoping that we are not doing principles of leadership theoretically. I'm just hoping that. Macho, you had your hand up, or you wanted to read? Maybe you wanted to read.
No. I had my hand up after reading.
Okay.
I'm just connecting the dots of today's class.
Yeah.
Coming from a place of, remember when we were reading the scripture, patience and love?
Yeah.
Coming from a place of leadership as ordained by God. I'm connecting also with our biblical foundations class, biblical leadership foundations class. And the fact that God put me here on this planet to co-create with him.
Yeah.
God put me here to find what are my pain points. And when he gives me a burden, it means he wants me to carry it. And so the vision I have needs to give me sleepless nights, needs to stir me up that I become unstoppable, that I have to do this no matter what. Because it is that drive that will keep me going, even when I don't know how the path ahead looks like, but at least I know the end because of the vision. And so anything I meet in the middle is just something that is building me up to the vision, because I can't remove my eyes from the big place and from the burning thing in me that wants me to accomplish that vision. So today I've been stirred up. Today I've been encouraged to keep at it, because if it's giving me sleepless nights, it means I am doing the right thing. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Very encouraging. So I just want to encourage all of you that God's grace, God put you where you are to lead, even in that classroom, even in that family. And many times people walk in this world, by the way, without ever realizing their potential because they didn't have a chance. And you can see now the nugget, the value in emotional intelligence. Just the word vision. You can decide in your department, in your organization, to actually actualize a vision outside that big vision on the gates that nobody even thinks about, but it is done to meet a requirement. Yes. So that is my prayer for you. Let's meet tomorrow, God willing, for research at 6 p.m. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. God bless.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night, Othello.
Bye.
Fellow doesn't want to sleep.
Can we leave Othello alone?
Otelo leo anaongea na klasi ya jana.
Otelo is now getting math for now he's going to get home.
Otelo, yesterday in the statistics class, you're very quiet. Otelo,
Otelo, these people should not look down on you. Might surprise them, eh? You might surprise them.
Alikula barafu.
Othello, nowadays Othello has learned how to lower his hand.
You guys, can you give Othello a break?
It's called Brudwa. Othello is doing well. Othello is doing well.
Now he's
Othello, can you go home? I can see you're still in the office.
Si nilifikiri mmechoka mnaenda kulala. Tena story imeanza aje na mko
I'm just
Othello,
listening to you guys. I'm going home.
Look, I can see this is Daystar. I think this is ICT. Where Othello enda nyumbani.
Anangoja sapa.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Let's meet tomorrow. Goodbye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.